Hi there, Adam Eason, and I'm going to do a reaction video. Today I've got the composer Teresa Carreño, born 1853, died 1917, Venezuelan pianist. Among other things, she had a piano concerto written for her by Amy Beach, who might be a familiar name, and Edward McDowell, who might be a less familiar name. And those are some pretty glowing recommendations for people, those two composers, to have written concerti for her. So I was curious what her compositions might be like, and today I've got lined up the first of her two elegies, deux élégies, and I have not heard these before. I've got the score, but I'm just going to use it to help dissect parts that seem particularly interesting to me. So let's hear what this first elegy has got. This is Opus 17, number 1. That was very nice. That was very nice. We've got some interesting little harmonies in here. Yeah, just this nice little alternation between these two colors. And then it happens kind of in the tenor line. Yeah, so it goes from the treble line, sorry, from the soprano line down to the tenor line and kind of passes it back and forth. Looks like this is something of an introduction. So we'll see where she goes from here and how she decides to use this material later, or if she decides to reuse it at all. All right, let's see what she's got coming up. All right, so we've got a new melody. It's fairly simple, but that's not always easy to pull off. In this case, she's got this walking bass line down in the bottom, a simple kind of umchuk pattern between the bass and the harmony. And sometimes the melody follows the bass, and sometimes it's kind of doing its own thing. What's the harmony doing? Okay, so the harmony is a little bit of it's kind of following what the bass line does somewhat, but it's sort of free as well. Yeah, interesting. Okay, let's keep on going. Yeah, getting pretty dramatic here. Um, A nice thickening of the bass line here at a dramatic moment. It's also interesting, like going back to the beginning. This introduction was very kind of light. It had a brighter color to it. Um, in music theory terms, it's a little bit more on the major side of things. And then once she gets going into this main melody, it's much darker on the minor side of things. And that creates an interesting contrast between the introduction and the main body where we are. Yeah, a nice melody. Fairly simple, but also like has a nice line to it. Cool. All right, moving on. It looks like we've got something new, some contrasting material. Let's hear how that's going. I just have to stop. That was very nice. That was gorgeous. Um, I don't think there's anything in here that's necessarily, I don't know, unique. This is very uh, romantic, tonal harmony, but at the same time, I don't know. I think sometimes the striving to be unique can lead composers astray to create things that are just uh, right. So in this case, she's got a particular harmonic style that she's a performer in and a composer in, and she knows it very well. And I just really appreciate how she uses this language. Um, she's got some nice dissonances between the melody. Let's see if I can catch it. Right, where she kind of leans into these long, kind of intense moments between the soprano melody and the harmony below it. And she slowly builds up to this long line, which, I mean, this is just a scale. Yeah, and right there, that um, kind of it's a sorry, not an augmented second. Um, kind of uncommon in classical music. It shows up from time to time, but in this case, a really interesting choice here. Unless I missed something? No, no. So that's from the harmonic minor scale. I won't really get into it, but it's just to say that it's not super commonly used in classical music. Cool. Let's keep going. It looks like she's got something of a repetition. Yeah, so she repeats this melody with a little bit of variation, um, some ornaments added into the mix. She's got this nice line in the inner voices as well. So we've got very stable bass, boom, boom. And then on top of that, on top of these chords, right, these chords are staying pretty static in thirds, looks like. And then has this kind of alto melody. Not quite getting it right, but I'm also sight reading. So, um, yeah, that's a nice touch. That's part of where this very animated feeling is coming from. Is this gentle counter melody on the inside voice here? That's a sign that a composer is really paying attention. Is if the inner voices are doing interesting things. Um, it's very easy for so from bottom to top we've got bass, tenor, alto, soprano. It's very easy for the tenor and alto voices to be very static, partly because that's kind of their job, is to be sort of harmonic glue for the rest of the texture. So by default, their lines aren't going to be super interesting. But if a composer is really, really trying to pay attention to the full texture, then they often come up with interesting things to do with those inner voices, the tenor and alto voices. In this case, because it's a piano, um, that's a bit more of a metaphor, right? Um, Bass, tenor, alto, soprano. I mean, that's choral music, but uh, you know, classical harmony is built from choral music, right? That's kind of where it started. So that terminology hangs over. I feel like there was something else I was going to say, but nah, let's just keep going. Where were we? We were down here somewhere. Oh, oh, that was nice. Oh, that was very nice. Okay, so in this case, she's creating what's called a cadence. She's creating a resting point for the music. And because of the length of the melody and how she wants to connect back from, I haven't done a full harmonic analysis, but she's trying to connect back from the harmonic context of this middle section back to the beginning section, which is returning. Um, she wants to lengthen this cadence, lengthen this stopping point. And the way she's chosen to do this is to take that alto voice that I just talked about, that alto pattern, and create something new out of it. So we've got this right. It's not quite the same, but it's a similar rhythmic idea. Ba 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 ba. Right, and then she just launches it straight up to the top of the piano for a completely different texture. Right, we've had a lot of really grounded bass harmony with the chords kind of close to the bass, and it's been a very kind of dense, thick texture. This is still very dense, but because its register is completely different, this creates a completely different feeling of lightness, right? That we haven't heard yet. Everything's been very much down, down, and then here, just kind of almost out of nowhere, it's just way up at the top. And then even if you can't read music, you can kind of see the pattern, right? Pa 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 pa. Kind of winding down this very dramatic moment, and then bringing us finally to the cadence here. Oh, that was really nice. These are some pretty gnarly chords too. I'd have to sit down. I mean, it's nothing like, I guess, too out of the ordinary. Yeah. She has a couple of tense moments. I guess it's not that gnarly. It just looks like it because of the moving line on top of these kind of static lines. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty dense, but if you're a keyboardist, it's not too bad. Uh, Beginners would have a hard time reading it, of course, but this isn't for beginners. Okay, and then it looks like that main melody comes back. Let's see how she changes this. Yeah, okay, so I had a feeling she would do something. In this case, she's added a little bit of a, not quite a cadenza, but this is a moment that we heard before. And instead of just kind of plowing through it, she lingers on this moment and then adds a little bit of decoration to the end. And then right in here, this moment here, I may even back up to listen to this again. There's a really nice dissonant crunch that she puts in here where she's got this minor ninth. Unfortunately, I can't sing it. Of course, I need two notes to do that. But she adds this nice little spicy dissonance right in there. I'm gonna go back and listen to that again. That was very nice. That was surprising. Just right at the end, Picardy third. Okay. Uh, well, I mean, it was nice, but I wasn't expecting that. Um, yeah, so what I really like here is she brings that first melody back, but she doesn't belabor the point. She plays enough of it to recall that first melody, but doesn't feel like she's bound to the idea of repeating that whole section one more time. So we just hear that first melody come back once, and then the second melody coming into, again, she's really paying attention to these inside voices. With a keyboard, it can be a little bit tricky to see all the voices at once, but this bass line note here is hanging on because of the pedal. So, in terms of thinking of voicing, this is really more of a tenor line. Uh, and then this nice repetition at the top in the soprano, and then those umchuck chords, and then a slow, graceful cadence right at the end. Yeah, yeah, this was so good. Oh man. Um, okay, I'm on board. I'll listen to more of her music. This is excellent. Um, that will be it for today. The the album this music is from is by the pianist Clara Rodriguez. I'll make sure to link to the Spotify album. She's done an entire album of Teresa Carreño's music, and after that, yeah, I guess I have to recommend the entire album. I'll have to listen to this whole thing at some point. Looks like she's got a bunch of waltzes, kind of character pieces, mazurkas, some intermezzos. Cool. Yeah, I'm on board. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.